Recently, I received a lot of requests on my social media account. People asking, sir, how I can transition my career from non-IT to DevOps engineer. People want to become DevOps engineer, and why it is so hot, so demand. I have already created one video on this topic. So in this video, my friend, if you want to become a DevOps engineer, you're from non-IT background, and if you want to become a DevOps engineer, I'm going to answer your questions, okay? How you can become a DevOps engineer step by step, and what are the skill set that you have to develop in this process. So watch this video till the end. Okay, first of all, let me introduce what is DevOps engineer. I know that majority of people who come from non-IT background, they have no much idea about it. So in very brief, I'm giving very high level overview, very briefly about DevOps engineer. See, DevOps is called development operation. DevOps, it's made of two words, development operation. You know that majority of company, they have the development operation, they have a developer, they develop the application, right? So these all applications are hosted nowadays on the cloud, right? So as a DevOps engineer, what is your main job? What is your main roles and responsibility? You have to manage the entire operation, end-to-end operation of your application on the cloud platform. This cloud platform can be anyone. It can be Azure, it can be AWS, it can be GCP, any platform, okay? And that is a main responsibility of our DevOps engineer. So as a DevOps engineer, you have to manage the entire operation. Now the question is how I can transition. Is it really possible that somebody come from non-IT background, they can transition into IT especially as a DevOps engineer? Answer is yes, quite yes. And this is my answer, guys. If your background, okay, from non-IT background, if you're coming from telecom, if you're coming from desktop support, IT support, server configuration, something like networking, telecom, you can easily transition your career into DevOps side, which is quite possible, okay? Now, as a DevOps engineer, let's suppose if you want to become DevOps engineer, then as a DevOps engineer, what skill set and what is the transition, what are the career graph, or what skill set I need to develop in this process. So in this video, I'm going to give some idea, very brief idea, okay, not very depth idea, very brief idea about what are the skill set and what are the learning curve that you have to learn in this process, okay? As I told you in the beginning, this DevOps is more about operation, to handle the entire application operation on the cloud platform. So in this process, my friend, if you want to become DevOps engineer, okay, so what you have to learn, the foundation is about a cloud platform. Okay, so you have to learn any one cloud. It can be AWS, it can be Azure, it can be GCP. So you have to understand that what are the different services that these all cloud providers are providing. Okay, so you have to master all the services, like how to deploy application, like for example, cloud computing, like VMs, like Kubernetes, Dockers, like Lambda functions. There are a lot of services. If you go in depth, because I'm not going to talk about in depth, so these are the services you have to learn. So first thing, you have to master the cloud computing, the cloud platform. This is the important thing. And second thing, because you know that applications are deployed on the cluster, on the cloud. So the next step, what you have to learn about the orchestration or the container. It is called container. Okay, you might have heard about like what is Docker, what is Kubernetes, what is the cluster. So you have to really master about the Docker technologies, like what is the container application, how to create containers, how the containers work, what are their life cycle. Okay, so if you really want to become DevOps engineer, you have to learn about containerization, you have to learn about Docker, you have to learn about Kubernetes clusters, how the Kubernetes works. These are all things you have to learn. This is important. Okay, and number three, which you have to learn in this process, is about some scripting language. You might be wondering, is it really possible that it is really required to write a code if you want to become DevOps engineer? Should I learn Python or some scripting language? Answer is yes. Because what happens in this process, you have to do a lot of automation. Okay, because on the infrastructure side, on the cloud side, there are a lot of automation happens. Though you can do manually, but majority of cases you have to write some code, you have to do some automation. Okay, so perform the automation, you have to learn some scripting language. It can be Python, it can be Groovy, it can be shell scripting as well. So yes, the answer is, do I need to learn some language? Yes, not you have to learn some language, especially scripting language, okay? Here the purpose of writing code or learning language is not to develop a software. You're not a software developer, okay? Here the purpose of learning scripting language is what? To just write some code, just to automate your process. Couple of things you have to automate, and because of that you have to learn the scripting language. That's the only purpose. But you have to learn some scripting language, okay? And next thing very important is because I told automation. Here in this case, there are a lot of automation happens, and you have to learn about all the automations, okay? So on infrastructure side, if you want to automate something on infrastructure, like deployment, everything, then there's some scripting like Terraform, okay? You have to learn Terraform, you have to learn Puppet. These are all the things you have to learn in this process. It's called infrastructure as a service, okay? And last but not the least, what you have to learn, see, as I told in the beginning, as a DevOps engineer, you have to manage the entire operation. You have to learn cloud services, you have to learn Docker, Kubernetes, you have to learn scripting language, you have to learn Terraform. These all things, these are infrastructure, okay? Once the application are deployed, you have deployed the application, right? Then you have to understand you have to monitor the application, right? Whether your services are down or not, it is working fine, it is consuming a lot of resources, CPU utilization, there are a lot of matrices, the security concepts, right? So as a DevOps engineer, this is also your roles and responsibility to manage, to monitor the application. So to monitor your application, to monitor your servers, to monitor your containers, there are a lot of tools are available, like Grafana is tool, ELK is tool. There are a lot of tools you have to learn so that you can track, you can monitor your services, your containers, okay? As you see that to become a DevOps engineer, there are a lot of learning curve, right? You have to learn a lot of things, and that is why it has a hard demand nowadays. It's a very niche kind of a skill if you want to become DevOps engineer. So you have to learn this all skill set, okay? And apart from that, you also learn some skill set like branching a strategy, like JIT, like Bitbucket. There are some tools, some platform that you have to learn how to branch your application code so that you can deploy it into multiple environments. So you have to understand different environment, like what is dev environment, what is staging environment, what is test environment, what is a prod environment. So you have to own the entire environment, okay? And you are the main person as a DevOps engineer who is going to control everything. So these are the learning curve, my friend. I'm not saying it is very easy, but if you're going to invest your time, if you're going to invest your money, it's going to bring a massive result in your career, okay? So these are the skill set, my friend, that you have to learn, you have to nurture, you have to develop if you want to be DevOps engineer. Let me know, my friend, if you want to become a DevOps engineer, especially you're from non-IT background, you want roadmap, you want clarity, you want to know more about it, that how I can transition my career, reach out to us. We will definitely help you, and it will make your career completely different. Trust me, if you make this transition, and which is quite possible. Reach out to us, we will definitely help you.